So how? How do I even begin? There are so many things to say, so many takeaways from this movie, but as it stands, I can't talk about it just yet. What's up, Dreamer Tribe? What's up, world? I am Vianca, and this is my thought or reaction video in regards to Avengers Endgame. The final Avengers film for Phase 3 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like I've said before in my previous thought videos or reaction videos that have something to do with movies, like for instance my Captain Marvel reaction or thought video, I don't like to spoil things for people who have yet to watch the movie. You guys deserve respect as much as, you know, the people behind the movie does, and I feel like it's a disservice if I spoil anything or say anything that might tip you off to anything that may happen in the movie. So yeah, this is gonna be my takeaway video in regards to Avengers Endgame, and it's going to be non-spoiler. And if you're wondering why my voice is like this, it's because I actually watched Avengers Endgame twice in one day. I attended 2 screenings of Avengers Endgame today, April 24, and watching it the first time, you're kind of shocked by what you see, and you don't really get to process it as much as you would have if you watch it a second time or maybe even a third time. And for me, watching it second time around, the feels, they just hit so hard. And that's my first takeaway in this movie, is that first off, the shock value. There are so many things about this that is quite shocking. Things that, you know, in retrospect, after watching it, you kind of see that they were hinting towards this conclusion. I try not to watch as much trailers, read stuff about the movie. I think the only times I got information is from a friend and from, you know, watching interviews, because anything with Brie Larson in it, an interview with her, I would watch, and those are just the things that sort of told me stuff about Endgame. Even though I am among those anticipating this movie, I tried not to spoil myself with whatever trailers or what do you call this, theories people come up with. Though it is fun to talk about those, I can't argue with that. But yeah, going in knowing only, you know, the official things that Marvel sort of released, you're going to go in there and feel utter shock at the events that that will happen. So it pays to watch it twice or more, because the first time you can't really absorb it that much, because so many things they throw at you, so many stuff that you can't immediately wrap your head around it, you know. So yeah, the shock, you know, the shock value, it's right there. The movie is also a roller coaster ride of emotions, and you know, it wants you to cry. It does so with a gut punch, a strong gut punch, and proceeds to pummel you until, you know, they're sure that you're feeling the emotion that you're supposed to be feeling on a particular scene. And it's pretty effective, guys. I actually never cried in a movie. Actually, well, not never. I only have 3 movies that I actually cried in, like legit cried. The first is Walk to Remember. The second is I think it was one of the Narnia movies, where the kids are saying goodbye to where the kids believe they will never see Aslan again. And the third is Captain Marvel, because of the sheer happiness as a fan watching your hero come alive in the big screen, you know. So this is actually the 4th movie that I cried, and despite reminding everyone I know to bring tissues or handkerchiefs, and telling everyone who follows me the same thing, I actually forgot to bring my own. So it was a pretty difficult thing to have yourself crying and you have nothing to wipe your tears away except your hands. And yeah, so if you haven't watched Avengers Endgame yet and you're planning to watch it, be forewarned that you will cry, especially if you have been watching these movies, following the Marvel Cinematic Universe for 11 years now, or 10 years now. And even though you watch the trailer, even for people who repeatedly watch the trailer trying to get a sense of what it is they could expect, you basically should just expect the unexpected, because that is what it felt for me watching it. And even though I watched it twice, the second time it feels new all over again. And I think at this moment my emotions are still pretty raw, so maybe I'm not really looking at this in an objective sort of way, but yeah, emotions will run high in this movie. The only reason you won't find yourself tearing up is because you're not into these movies, or you haven't connected that way to these characters. So yeah, expect yourself to cry. That's basically it. The next takeaway I have is that the pacing of this movie makes you feel like it's not really 3 hours long. It actually feels much shorter when you're watching the movie. And there are moments when you can sort of notice things that Marvel has sort of cut out, or the directors, the Russo brothers, had to cut out. These sort of leaves a couple of plot issues or plot holes, and you sort of see these things if you squint hard enough, and if you try to look deeper into the movie and the plot of the movie. So you will end up seeing or wondering about some things. Now, whether or not that was intentional, I don't know. I actually feel like it was intentional, that like they were setting something up. But yeah, you can tell that there were a lot of cuts made in this movie. And if I actually wanted, if it's possible, I would have watched this for like 4 hours just to get the whole experience, just to not feel like there's something that's been cut, or there are things that have been cut. So I'm hoping that the home edition or the Blu-ray copies of Avengers Endgame will sort of be a director's cut, sort of like an extended cut of the movie, like what they did with Lord of the Rings, something like that. Even though this movie is already 3 hours long. In other words, if there is such a thing as the Russo cut, I want them to #release the Russo cut. So another thing is that I don't know if it has been said a lot, but I feel like this movie proves that Marvel knows their viewers, and that they have perfected the craft of telling a story. And it also proves that Marvel Studios has a deep pool of characters, or roster of characters, that they could just pluck and place in whatever movie they want, as long as it actually flows well with the story. The last 20 minutes, 28 actually, of this movie is something that you really shouldn't bat your eye. Like, you know what Doctor Who says? Don't blink. Yeah, that's the part of the movie where you're not allowed to blink, because so many things are happening and you don't want to miss a moment of this. the last 20 minutes of the movie, it was pure epicness, and you know, it makes you feel like the time has finally come. This is actually a payoff of all that 10 years of waiting for a movie like this. All that build up, it pays off in that 20-minute scene. And then the last 8 minutes of the movie, it's where the Russo brothers decide to grab their fans and the viewers by their heart and yank their hearts out, basically. I'm not gonna say what the scene is, but yeah, it was one of the scenes that actually made me cry. I can pinpoint around 4 scenes that made me teary-eyed, and 2 of those made me cry. Next up is Brie Larson. Of course, I'm a Captain Marvel fan. I stan Captain Marvel. I stan Brie Larson hard. I can't really take it when people make these stuff up about her, harass her online, stuff like that. It's what they're doing is basically stupid, is what I'm saying. But yeah, Brie Larson's Captain Marvel makes her mark in this movie as a part of the Avengers, and she does so without taking away the spotlight from the original Avengers and from the other Avengers, not just your original 6. She plays well basically with the other casts, and she shines along with everyone in this movie, most especially in this one scene that I can't again talk about, but it's in that 20-minute mark that I mentioned previously. She shines along with everyone in terms with their acting, and most especially the original 6 Avengers. And if there is one, if there's a best actor kind of thing that I could give in this movie, it's gonna have to be for Robert Downey Jr., Tony Stark. His performance was stellar, and you get drawn in by his performance, and it was just fantastic. It's difficult really to say without spoiling, but yeah, Robert Downey Jr.'s performance in this movie is just perfection. Also, I just gotta say this, 3 words: Women of Marvel. That's it. Having said that though, Avengers Endgame isn't perfect. Not in a storytelling sense, but it could be. As I've said before, I feel like it was sort of purposely done that way, like it was set up it was a setup for something bigger, like we can expect a bigger payoff, despite the fact that this basically closes the Infinity Saga. Either way, this was basically a love letter that Marvel Studios made for their fans, for all the support that they've gotten over the 10-year course of the entire Infinity Saga, and counting, because this isn't the end of the Avengers. There's a little bit of it for everyone. Like, it doesn't matter which superhero you stand or you're a fan of, there's a bit of that for you in this movie. Granted, it's a much darker MCU film, or it's the darkest MCU film to date. Regardless, it's a wonderful movie, and really, I don't think anyone should pass up the opportunity to watch this. And the sooner you watch it, guys, I think the easier it is to be able to speak about this movie without the fear of spoiling it for anybody. Now you might be wondering, if it's that good, why do I look like this? Why do I sound like this? Again, guys, I've watched it twice, and I just feel like I'm at this point emotionally drained from this movie, because as much as I thought I was prepared to watch it, I wasn't. No, I don't think there's any amount of preparation for you to make that would be enough before you watch this movie, because I was so confident that I would go in here, I would go in there and watch this movie, and that, you know, if there's any reason to cry, I would be able to hold it in. I'm pretty good at holding my emotions in, but yeah, this movie did me in so well. It's just, I really, that's just it, you know. I feel emotionally drained. I feel like I could burst out crying again at any moment, because the memory of those scenes that made me cry is just way too fresh, and how those characters involved in those scenes did their part, and how the actors and actresses portray their part in those scenes are just so amazingly perfect. Really, if you're not a fan of superhero movies, you can go in there and watch a solid movie, and, you know, feel something for these characters. This is a movie that is impossible to just, again, like I've said, to just watch once. You need to watch it again, and if possible, watch it a third time, because maybe then you would look past the emotions they're throwing at you, and you know, get a better grasp of everything. Like I've said before, there's so many Easter eggs and fan service moments and callbacks to the previous movies that that sort of uplifts everything about this movie, and it makes the conclusion of Avengers Endgame bittersweet, basically. It is indeed an end of an era and a beginning of a new one, with so many possibilities now open for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, although it's not really quite that open yet, since we have to actually wait for the Eternals for, you know, everything to just explode and stuff. But yeah, I'm still feeling pretty emotional about this movie, and that's really all I can say for this at this moment about this movie. Because again, I'm really frightened of spoiling anything to you guys, because I want you guys to watch this and feel the full experience of the movie, feel the same raw emotion that we got to feel watching it, you know, for the first time and even second time. That's basically it. So yeah, thank you all for watching me ramble on about the biggest movie of the year, even though it feels like, it actually feels for me like my brain is just blank, and again, my emotions are just drained. So yeah, thank you for watching and listening to what I have to say. I really appreciate it. You guys are awesome, and as always, I'll see you all in the next video. Until then, you guys know the drill. Dream on, fly on. Bye bye now. What's up, Dreamer Tribe? What's up, world? I am Bianca, and thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed the content of this video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button to let me know. And also, if you haven't subscribed yet and you want to be a part of the Dreamer Tribe, just hit on that subscribe button. We also have tons of different content here on my channel, so be sure to check those out. Until the next video, dream on, fly on.